Happy holidays, everybody. I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about, sometimes your friends, family, peers, colleagues, or whatever, they may make some questionable decisions in their life, or some questionable choices in their life. And it's okay, everybody makes mistakes. But sometimes you got to sit them down and tell them, like, hey, what you're doing doesn't align with me, and I can't continue to associate with you while you're engaging in this behavior. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist, and I wanted to come on here and talk to you a little bit about, like, when people do things that don't really align with you, and it's not necessarily a judgment of their behavior. It's just more or less like you're living a certain lifestyle and that doesn't align with my lifestyle, or I don't like being put into situations that could be potentially compromising or that I could get caught up in, and I've worked with a lot of people in jail, and one of the things that I noticed about the people in jail, when they regret their decisions, a lot of times they'll be like, I'm hanging out with people and they're making choices and I'm getting caught up. I'm getting caught up with people. I'm getting caught up with people I know. Sometimes they're getting caught up with people they don't know, and they're just living life fast. And, now you have it where if, the person that's with you, they commit a serious felony, you're going to catch a case too, So, they always express remorse over, like, hey, I wish I would have never gotten that car. I wish I would have never got around so-and-so. I wish I would have never done X, Y, and Z, answering my phone, all those kinds of things. And I'm here to tell you, you are in control of your life, and you don't need to be a follower. I feel like people kind of get caught up in situations when they're kind of cliquish, or they feel like, hey, I need to follow someone, or I desire their approval more than I am respecting myself, or there's fear there that that person's going to get mad with me, or they're going to feel a way about me. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to worry about that, because if they do or if they don't, that's really going to tell you, all that you need to know about that person. But life has a tricky way of turning out sometimes, and it's just kind of like one of those things. So I'll tell you a little story. Way back when, I had a friend of mine. I thought she was a friend, but, we weren't really aligned. And, she was, we worked at a grocery store, and she was having an affair on her husband at the time. And, she's like, I'm like, okay, well, she's my friend, so I support her, whatever she's doing. I don't really engage in it, but, she's my friend. That's kind of how I was thinking at the time. And, and one night she got herself caught up in a situation, and I guess her husband was looking for her. It's after hours. It's like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I guess she came home and they got into an argument, and she's like, oh, I'm with Natalie. Okay, well, now I got this angry man calling my house looking for his wife, right? And I'm like, and so he's calling me at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was. And I'm like, he's like, is so-and-so over there? Was she with you? I guess so, and I didn't really like that feeling, because I don't really, when somebody's calling you like that, they're really unpredictable, and I didn't really like that. But I was like 20 years old when that happened. So I'm like, and I told her the next day, I'm like, I'm not okay with that, because he sounded angry. And in my experience, when you have people that are like that are unpredictable and willing to verify and act on their emotions, they're like willing to verify whether or not, infidelity is a thing. You don't really know what to expect. And, sure enough, after we had that conversation, that person, her husband, got even more predictable, and it just turned into a violent fiasco. And so now if people want to cheat, that's your business. But I don't really associate myself with that just because of how that can escalate and turn into a situation that's totally unpredictable. Even if the person's never been violent before, you just never know. The crime of passion exists for a reason, right? Like I was caught up, my emotions caught the best of me, and I did something that I wouldn't normally do. That's why that it exists, right? Because that's a real defense that people use. And so, I'm sharing that little story as an aside, not to Babylon, but, when I have no qualms about telling people like, hey, what you're doing doesn't align with me, and you need to kind of live your life and do what you need to do and get yourself in order before we see each other again. If we see each other again, and I have no problem telling people that because I'm not about to, jeopardize myself, my sanity, my integrity for you. And that's just a little note, a little memo that I thought I would come on here and share with you all. And you could say what you need to say, and you could detach lovingly. They could agree, not agree. That's really not your concern. But once you said what you needed to say, you also need to act accordingly as well. So so you need to, as the young people say, stand on business. But that's okay to tell people that, hey, what's going on is a little concerning. I'm going to let you do you, but I can't associate with that anymore. Hope that helps. Thanks so much.